So if you're still posting, boosting, tweaking your website, or trying all the things, and marketing still feels really confusing, expensive, or inconsistent, this episode is for you. By the end of this episode, you'll understand how marketing actually works, what matters, what doesn't, how to stop guessing, and how to start growing on purpose. So I'm joined by Chris Campbell. He's the founder of Modern Day Marketing Solutions, and he helps businesses just like yours build marketing systems that actually work. So, Chris, it's great to have you here. I'd love to jump right into it. I'd like to ask you why marketing feels so much harder and so much more confusing than ever these days.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And yeah, as a local business owner, things are overly complicated now. And it's overly complicated because you get way too much information. If you're on Facebook and you're even talking about marketing, you're going to see a slew of ads that all say, "Oh, do this for $27. I'll give you a great offer." Or here, you could rank better on Google Maps for $39. And the answer is they both are terrible options. They're low ticket items to try and get you to a higher ticket platform to pay for, and they never actually answer the objective. It's what we call a lead magnet to try and suck you in. And so for 90% of smaller businesses, 2 million and under, they all fall for it. It's easy to do because they know your pain points and they know what's going on. And then you deal with Facebook ads, right? If you're running your own Facebook ads, 99% of the time, they're going to fail in some form. You might get a couple clients, but did you get your money back type of thing? And so we deal with that all day, every day. And unfortunately, that is the commonality right now.
Yeah, it seems like there's like so much noise out there. And so I think that's part of the issue is there's like so much. And so people don't even know what's going to work or what's real, what doesn't, and then it leaves you feeling like super confused and almost like in this darkness of not knowing what to do because there's so much out there. So I know a lot of businesses who feel like they're doing everything, but nothing is
Mhm.
working.
And paradoxically, we have more information now than we've ever had, and yet our trust is at its lowest level ever. Why is that? Because people all think they're experts when they're not, and that's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. So, what is the biggest misunderstanding that you think people have about how marketing works?
So a lot of people think that you can be an expert if you take one course, you listen to, a Dan Kennedy thing or a Tony Robbins thing or an Alex Hormozzi thing, and you roll through their books, and now you're the expert in it because you went through it. You've talked to a couple of people, you feel good. Well, the problem is that you have to execute on that, and you have to follow through with those steps, and you have to have gone through and failed to know how things work. I bet you didn't know this, but to give you an example, on Facebook ads alone, if you're a great marketer, someone like me, right? Tons of experience, has scaled to six, seven, and eight figures, right? 80% of your ads fail. 80%. So if 80% fail, that means one in five will work correctly. That it doesn't mean your one in five works. It means one of five. So you have to test sometimes 20 to hit two, if three if you're lucky, and then get on a string where you say, okay, this audience worked, this creative worked, this hook worked, and then you can start to accumulate some more wins at some point. But sometimes you're going to lose 30 creatives in a row before you finally hit one, depending on the niche. And that is what a lot of people kind of fall into is, oh, I became this expert because I watched this Facebook class, and then you just torch your ad spend, and now you're frustrated and you're back to square one. And that vicious cycle continues and continues until you waste your ad spend and circle the drain.
Right. It seems like you don't have a lot of patience. And I
Yes.
think the one in a million who get it right the first time, I almost feel bad for that person because it's like they don't know what's coming.
No, no. And the worst part, I mean, I'll talk to people who legitimately have spent 20,000, 30,000 on ad spend with no return. Think about that gut
Wow.
feeling when you're like, oh, my business is about to hit these home runs, and you don't even get singles out of it. Like, that's the worst feeling right there, in my opinion.
Wow. So before these tactics, ads, or content, what must be clear for marketing to work at all?
Well, we start at the beginning, right? Let's talk about your brand. Do you know how many businesses, if I were to say, I'm talking to 10 businesses that let's say they do 1 million to 5 million. Do you know how many of those businesses have a brand guideline, meaning they know the three primary colors that they want to use, they know the font, they know the percentage of each color that they want to use within the brand. So whether you're on the website, social media, whether you're looking at the ads, how the congruency of all of those go together. I mean, the answer is typically zero. So you have a business that does, almost 5 million or 5 million a year, 500,000, 400,000 a month, and they don't know their own brand guidelines. How did they scale? And what did they do to scale that will get them to 10 million? Because I could tell you right now, it's not doing what they've been doing. They're going to have to figure out how to get their brand aligned to grow correctly. And that's unfortunately the big mistake that most of them are going to make.
So is step one essentially in marketing branding?
Well, when you build a house, what's step one? Put in the air conditioner? No, it's to find the foundation to discover what the dirt below the foundation is going to do.
Right.
Like you can't just jump in and put flooring in on dirt, right? No, we got to start from the beginning. Let's identify what makes you you, right? In this day and age, everyone can be an expert quickly, but then they don't know what they're actually really, really, really good at, and they also don't know what separates them, so their brand just goes completely haywire because they don't have one. And it's just a time frame before they run out of money and clients know that they're phony and then they're done.
Right. So talk to us about branding in general terms. What exactly is branding? Because it's a pretty
Okay.
general term, right? Like when I think of a brand, I think of like Nike and the check mark, right? Like it's something memorable. But what is a brand? How do you even go about starting a brand?
Yeah, great question. Well, it starts with understanding what it is, who you are. So if I say I'm a great roofing company, right? Okay, so I know my niche, right? But my brand needs to say what my niche does. How do we serve our clients? What is going to be the foundation of our business? And then we can say, let's identify logo. Then we could say, let's identify the color scheme within the logo. Then we identify, okay, within our community, we service, this group of people. We stay in these specific lanes for work, and we don't reach out of those lanes until we become the expert in each one of those. And branding requires you to be the authority that people recognize you within there. So it's knowing the basics of your business, knowing then the colors, then getting into the logo, right? And then ultimately making that the one thing people know you for and recognize. You said Nike, everyone can look at that little swoosh symbol and know exactly what that is because they pounded that into our brain, the just do it or the swoosh, right? Like everybody knows that at this point. But do they know that for your brand? Would they look at your logo or your name or even the colors that you have and know what you represent? And
Yeah,
for tragically, for 99%, that answer is no.
right. And there's nothing more confusing when I go on a website and I'm so confused by all of the things on it. And then I'm like, I don't even know what I'm reading. Like, what does this person do? Like, I don't know. I want to buy whatever sporting equipment, and I'm like, what are they even talking about? And then it makes me just shut that website down, and I want something that's really easy to interpret. So I think that's another mistake people make is they get so complicated or they don't
Mhm.
simplify things. It's like, I know I'm the expert in my field, but how do I make other people understand it at a level that is simple so that they know? I think we sometimes forget that other people don't can't read our minds and they don't know what we're talking about.
Right. I will tell you the complexity of which we talk matters, right? They say a lot of why Donald Trump won was because the way he spoke and the way that message received was at a third grade level, right? That doesn't mean the intelligence of those people is at a third grade level. It just means it was so easy to understand that a third grader could understand it. So it means that the majority of people could. The level at which Kamala Harris was speaking at was at a level that was almost near collegiate. Again, not that it's bad, but it means that the messaging is so it's a lot to take in, that it doesn't mean that it was digestible in a way that you felt comfortable moving forward, right? If I told you an economic theory and I gave it to you at a third grade level, you would understand it. But if I gave it to you at a collegiate level, that doesn't mean you trust or you buy into it because big words were used or the complexity of which we strung these words together made the most sense. And therefore, I'm going to default to what I know I feel the most comfortable with. And that's part of the trust factor that we have. By using big words and sounding big, that actually hurts you. A lot of times, less is more, no matter what, for sure. And the enemy of great is good. So if you're just good, you're not really great enough for people to respect and understand what you're trying to prove in your industry or your niche for your customer.
So where does someone even begin? Let's break it down even more. There's someone out there that wants to start their brand. What are the first three steps?
Well, great question, right? First three steps you have to ask yourself is number one is who are you and why are you in this business, right? So that can either be you or that could be the company that either you're trying to establish or have established if you want to get a back to basics approach. Who are you and what do you establish? And then ask yourself why. Why do you want to do that? And what purpose does that serve by doing what you do for the community? And then ask a third why. Why does that community deserve X, Y, and Z from you? Okay, so we understand, okay, I'm in this for this particular reason. Now, what makes you excited about what you do? And then what's the energy that you're using to then move forward, right? So, okay, so my brand is Nike. I want to help runners be a better runner, right? I used to be one, so therefore I want to help one. Okay, great. Now, about the shoe, what makes the shoe the most exciting part of that? What makes the service behind the shoe the most exciting part? What makes the manufacturing to make it affordable? What all of those little details that go into the Nike side stand out for all of us, both maybe even positively and negatively. If you think about how they made the shoes in the 70s and 80s, that's a whole different story. But for businesses, they just simple best back to basics are great. And I'm telling you, the color part is a big deal. I could go on ChatGPT and just identify what are the colors that most people feel the most comfortable with. Are they blues? Are they reds? Are they orange? You know, are they teal? Oftentimes you'll see a lot of those similar colors throughout. Or do you see pinks? Do you see whites, blacks, you know, all those types of things? But developing the core of your brand is everything. How you service your client, how you establish yourself as going to be the intermediary to ensure that service is done correctly. How do you align with people around you? Do you have a good mentor that's going to guide you with your brand to getting to that next level? And these are just a lot of little things that people just overlook. They just say, I want to be a roofer, so I got a truck and a phone. Call me, and I'm going to hire some guys. And we're just going to throw it up there. But ultimately, they never really understand the customer and their fears and their needs, and to feel like they're being serviced correctly at the end of the day.
So talk to us more about colors. So why is it so important that we stick to a color scheme? And what are the problems that arise if we don't do that? Like, I'm just trying to understand the importance of sticking to a specific color scheme.
Okay, so if I was to ask you, what are the three most offensive colors for businesses? What are they?
Offensive? I would
Yeah,
probably
like
say
if you saw it
black.
and you're like, okay, what other colors do you think?
Hmm, I don't know what comes to mind right now, actually. Not sure.
Okay. So what do you think are the top three best colors for businesses?
I'm seeing bright, like blue, yellow, purple. But I also feel like earth tones are really easy to look at too, like easy, that ground me, that make me feel just no reaction.
Okay. So the top three are going to be blue, green, and black. Those are your top three. If you were to incorporate a color, you would want some form of those particular colors. But
Interesting.
so blue seems to be a dominant color that we do see within businesses for sure. And of course, we do see black. But what about blue matters the most? If there was a way that we would understand that blue means this with something.
Hmm. I don't know. It reminds me of the sky.
Okay. The sky feels free. It feels, but blue is synonymous with trust. So if you can get enough
Interesting.
blue in something, you will get more trust. We've run ads where it had very simple text and we tried it in 20 different colors. So blue, light blue, navy blue, royal blue, greens, teals, purples, light purples, and then you get into, oranges and yellows, but blue just like basic blue always wins out. Like just a
Wow.
little below royal blue, and you're in the sweet spot. So I try to stick to that. But colors like brown, colors like yellow, pinks, those are going to be horrendous colors for businesses. I would stay away from those completely.
What about red? Because red is associated with stop and fear. And how does red work?
Okay, so I'm wearing a red shirt, so I'm gonna have to give a good argument for red. But red also represents love too.
Mm.
Red does represent hope when you really dive into red. It's not a bad thing, I think, depending on if you like love or you're against love currently. But from a brand perspective, it is great to add in red, especially for your advertisements, because it's what helps catch the eye if you're scrolling. So let's say you want to put out an ad on Facebook and it's got text. Use that main word that you really want to stand out and put it in bold and red and watch that you test it versus not being bold and red and watch how you'll get a higher click-through rate just in that alone. So yeah,
Mm.
utilize red, but in the logo side, use it to your advantage where you see fit, but I wouldn't use it as a primary color though.
Interesting. And so once we start, testing and discovering the colors that we want to use for our brand, when you say testing and seeing how they work, how do you measure the success of colors and branding?
Okay, so great question again. So there's two ways we look at it. We can look at it as a landing page, right? If you were trying to draw someone to a landing page, which would be necessarily connected to your funnel, then we would A/B test that, where we test one at one color, one at another color to see when people come to your page to buy something, do they prefer this color or do they prefer that color? Oftentimes it's not a 50-50 split. You will see which one gets a little more love or more click through or the higher likelihood that they're going to purchase something. So you really start really there. Your website can also be tested that way too. If you ask your developer, hey, give me copy one with a little more red, copy another one less red, or this color, that color, and see which one stands out the most. And oftentimes you'll get a little bit better clarity of that. So there is a product that people can get for free if they go to Microsoft Clarity .com, they can download a heat map and they can download it to their website. So they can look at their heat map and see what percentage of people are clicking on your map. Did that color deter people or encourage people to click? So you have a like click here to learn more button, we call that a call to action. Did they actually click that button? And what percentage of the time did they click it? And if that number isn't positive, then that's your problem. That's your bottleneck. So you can spot little things like that within colors.
So we all know that trends change all the time and SEO changes all the time, and the days of the week matter, the time of the day matters. So how do we know when something is actually working and is starting to be successful? Like, what does the trend have to look like? And is there a timeline involved with that?
Okay, so depends on when we refer to trends, we need to ask a couple questions. What trend are we trying to identify it with? Is it your website colors and branding? Is it your ads? So the ads is probably the easiest one to explain because trends come and go, right? For sure. But you'll know a trend is fading because your cost per click on your ad is rising, right? So whatever it is you're using, whether it's Meta or Google to go find people, it's having to work harder because now less people are interested. So that's going to be one specific tool that I would utilize to identify if that trend is coming or going. But outside of that, I mean, it's really just a matter of following the data. You know, what data out there can we utilize that lets us know that what we thought was hot now is not hot anymore. And following that data for whatever your niche is going to be important. Things like ChatGPT, Manus, Grok, I mean, those are going to be good tools that you could just utilize pretty quickly to identify, ask it over the last 6 months, tell me the trend line of whatever particular niche you're interested in, and is it positive or negative currently? And that'll tell you whether you're heading the right direction or you're not heading the right direction now.
Right. And so, how long should we test something before we throw it out the window?
Okay. So let's say you're testing ads. Again, I'll use that because that's what most people are in business really care about, right? I'm testing a different ad and I want to see how it runs. Well, you need to know how many days you want it to run for. Typically, 5 to 7 will be good. And then the amount of money you put in that ad also matters. You test something at $1 a day, that's pretty worthless. Test something at $20 a day, still could technically be difficult, but you test something at $40 a day, $50 a day, $70 a day, you're gonna hit home runs. For businesses that do 2 million and up, yeah, test that 100 a day for 5 to 7 days. You're gonna see data pretty quickly. It's gonna tell you, are you on the right path or are you not on the right path? Did you sell more items? Did you get more clicks? Did you get more engagement with your site, social media site, your YouTube page? And if those answers are no, then we're on the wrong path. We need to start over. And then identify, was it the hook? Was it the headline? Was it the image? Was it the color? Do people just not trust you? Right. And ultimately, branding is trust. And so if you can't build trust up correctly, you're going to fall behind pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that's where AI right now is confusing people and sometimes hurting companies and marketing because it you lose your authenticity. And so how do we balance the use of AI with authenticity so that people trust us?
Right. That is a honestly, this is something that we've been really talking with a lot of our clients with lately. We don't do any AI copywriting anymore. Copywriting is the words that you see on your website or the words in your ad. Copy equals words. So just know anytime we say ad copy, we're talking about ads that have words in it. So many people are using ChatGPT now to create their ads. They all look the same. You can sniff it out. There's no trust in that anymore. There was this big, huge movement on YouTube where they were creating AI videos of animals or people doing heroic things. Well, now less people are interested in that than ever before because they're tired of the fake stuff that they're seeing. They want to see real again. And that is so true of your website, but it's so true of your advertising. If you're using too much AI copy, then you're going the wrong way. And you'll notice the word tire kicker, if you really look at people's ads and you see that word in there, you know that that's AI that wrote that because that is not a common way to talk about things within ads. But we notice that everywhere we go, where they're trying to convince people through their copy that they're the better option, right? Because we don't do tire kicker or we don't take on tire kickers or whatever that may look like. That particular thing is what we've noticed. But yeah, there's a limit on what we use AI, and it's certainly not an ad copy anymore. And really, even on ad images, you have to be very careful about what type of images you're using, right? So we're not manipulating people. Again, we have a trust problem into thinking the what you created was actually real when it's not.
Mhm. Yeah, and I recently have been reviewing different apps to create websites, and I noticed when I created a test website that it created testimonials for me, and they're not real. And I was
Yeah.
like so alarmed by that. And I'm like, is half of the things that I'm seeing out there like fake, right? So how do we sniff out what's real and what's not?
And that don't even stop there, right? You could go on Fiverr or Upwork. You can hire someone to give you a video testimonial that's not a real client. So not only can you not trust text anymore, you can't trust video anymore. How do you like? We're in such a weird age where we can't trust anything. You can't trust the media. You can't trust your ads. You can't trust like so. At the end of the day, it's the persuade. That's why podcast is super hot. It's very hard to manipulate this conversation between us as it being fake. Obviously it's not, and I'm not fake, right? I'm giving you real advice on a real day in front of you so that your listeners can get the most out of this and hopefully steer clear of some of these pitfalls. But yeah, I mean, creating that new social proof is everything. We are moving away from the text testimonial because of that, where we're asking our clients to make sure that they're getting video testimonials for everything. Although, yes, you can still manipulate it, it's very expensive to do that. It is one way that separates us and our clients from everybody else. And that right there leads back to branding. How do you get trust back to your brand? That's one particular way to do it.
So let's talk to the business or person out there who has been marketing and following a specific strategy for a while and it's not working. How do you restart? Like, where do you start to rebrand? And what is the power in that?
Well, it all starts with low hanging fruit. What's the easiest thing that we can easily see to fix? Okay. And if none of those actually had an impact, you got to start at the beginning. You start at the brand. Hey, tell me about your brand. How many reviews do you have? How often do you respond to reviews? If you have a Google business profile, how active are you on that profile? And really, is everything filled out correctly? Are you interacting? Are you asking questions on there and getting feedback on said question? And if those answers are no, then we got a great place to start. And if you're not doing it on Google, where else are you not doing it? Let's go attack those areas and let's do it in a way where you could quickly start to see good momentum shift your way. Google loves action. So the more action you could
Mm.
do, the more it's going to love you back. And that includes even tinkering with your website. The more you're updating your website to be better for your client, the better it is. Google's main job is to answer and service the client's question. And they're going to do it the best way they think they can. The more you can align with your thinking of how that person wants to be answered, the better it's going to be for you.
Yeah, that's great advice. Tell us more about the work that you do and how important it is to have someone like you in someone's corner. Because I'm
Absolutely.
as you're speaking, I'm like, there's so many things that people don't know about marketing and about branding that someone that from the outside that comes in that has the expertise can pinpoint.
Well, it's very easy, right? It starts with one, what's your motivation to help people? I've got a pretty high motivation because I have been burned before. I've lost $250,000 to what I call shit marketing, where I had someone who was a expert come in, convince me that they can help me. They don't. And then that cycle continues where the next person says, well, I know why they didn't do it right because of X, Y, and Z. And then they come in and then they're good at a couple things, but they're not great at anything. And then that cycle continues to regurgitate. See, if again, I'll say it again, the enemy of great is good. So if you can get a team that's really good at one or two things, and that's it, then you stick to that. So my team is comprised of funnel builders who are only good at building funnels. That's all they do. And then we got ad copy or copywriters. All they do is put words together that look and sound like the way you should hear it. And then we have people who are into ad creatives. They help with the ads, they help on the image ads and the video ads, and that's all they do. They don't write copy, they don't build funnels. And then we have a media buyer who helps buy data and helps set ads for our Facebook clients or ourselves, and that's all they do. They don't build the funnels, they don't write the ads, and they don't do the images. And it keeps everybody in the right lane to where they're great at each area. So for smaller business owners, it's hard when the owner is his own bottleneck because he's good at everything, but he's not great at any one thing anymore. And that becomes the singular biggest problem that we see in most businesses that get to $2 million is because he is the reason why they can't scale. So for us, we work on breaking that bottleneck up and saying, what lanes is everybody great at? And if they're not, we have to hire a couple people who are to give you the freedom that you're looking for down the road.
Amazing, amazing. Thanks so much for this amazing conversation. Where can people find more information about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me at the Chris underscore Campbell. That's my Instagram handle. You go to moderndaymarketing.io. You can find me at the marketing, or excuse me, the modern day marketing at Facebook. And we're all over the place. We're on YouTube. We're everywhere. But modern day marketing is our business. You can also email me at chris at moderndaymarketing.io and happy to help answer any questions. And if people just say, "Hey, I'm just looking for some help. I've been told that I'm paying 3,000 a month, and I'm showing I got 10,000 clicks, but my revenue isn't going up." Oftentimes, that's what a lot of marketing companies do to kind of stir you the wrong direction. We call that a vanity metric. It looks great, but doesn't do anything for you. So we help solve those problems pretty quickly.
Amazing. And who are your ideal clients? Like, who do you serve?
So we serve everybody that's a we consider to be a brick and mortar business, a local service business. We do have Shopify and e-commerce accounts that we do service, but mainly anyone that's in the service industry or has a brick and mortar store is going to be a perfect ideal client. We service mainly high-end boutiques. Jewelry store owners are fantastic because we can help increase their walk-in traffic by 100 to 400%, within 6 to 9 months, which is how they ultimately how they sell what they sell. But really, anybody that is in a local business, a trade, we definitely want to reach out and help them any way we can.
Amazing. Thanks again, Chris, for being here. Do you have any last minute thoughts you want to leave the audience with today?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, listen, I've been there before. I totally get it. I had a construction business for almost 8 years, and it's very hard. The grind is very hard. But three things that you have to be successful as a business owner. One is a great mentor. If you don't have a great mentor, go find one. And if you can't find one, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to lend an ear, no charge, just to say, hey, I've got your back. I've been there before. I totally get it. You need to have a great banker. If you don't have a great banker, find one. If you're with one that doesn't have a business manager in it, go find one that does. Develop a great relationship. So now you have two outs. And the third one is a great lawyer. A great lawyer is pretty important. But if you could get those three, you have the ability to scale to 8 figures and above. And if you're trying to sell, that's what you're going to need to get to your exit.
Awesome. Thanks again for this amazing conversation, Chris. It's been very helpful.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great Friday.
Yes, and to our audience, make sure you start getting clear on what you're trying to sell. I truly believe clarity is the first step to opening up everything. You need to know exactly what you're doing, who you are, and what you are all about in order to help more people and to get those meaningful clicks. We'll have all of Chris's information in the show notes for you to have easy access to him and everything that he offers. Have a great weekend, everyone. Happy marketing, happy branding.